Hello, welcome to the Burt Locker. I am Burt Green, and this week we are looking obviously at UFC 305, headlined by Dricus du Plessis. The S is silent, and Israel Adesanya. I've changed the format of the show slightly because what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my highlights, the fights that I'm really interested in, who I think is going to win. I have, of course, still run the entire card, betting win-loss. I've also still run the entire card, doing the method as well for an extra ultra terrible bet. So it's going to go with the fights I'm looking forward to, followed by the terrible bets that I am making on said fights. And that's going to be this episode, focused entirely on UFC 305. So let's get cracking. So also, just look, it's great to be back. By the way, I know I've been slow with the content lately, but I'm gonna endeavour to get back to my normal routine. I've done the entire setup because, unlike some of my cohorts in the podcasting community that I respect a lot, by the way, that I completely respect a lot, I will never compromise on quality. The audio has to be just so. Dave, you in there? I can see you, but I can't hear you because the microphone. What were you doing? No, I'm kidding. It was just great to see the DT podcast back. DT podcast, very, very good podcast, talking about everything from assassinations and fights and boxing. He's a really knowledgeable guy on boxing. So go check out the DC podcast on YouTube if you have the time. Great friend of the show. Look forward to doing some more collabs very soon. Also, please subscribe to this one as well. I forgot to say. But please, I need this. I went on a trip to Edinburgh recently. I ran up quite the credit card bill. Just like and subscribe. Come on, guys. Right. Let's just talk about UFC 305. Can we talk about UFC 305 for a moment, please? Is that okay? Can we do that? So, the fights that I'm looking forward to most on this card, you know me, I love a heavyweight scrap, right? And on the prelims, you've got Junior Taffa taking on Valter Walker. I don't know how you say it. I'm going to say Valter Walker because that's how it's spelled. But you know how, like, the Brazilians, they don't pronounce their R's or their S's, or they turn everything into a H. Yeah, it's exhausting. It's probably pronounced Hauta. That's probably, Joe, that sounds Dutch, not Brazilian. Sort it out, Brazil. Come on. Terrible. Anyway, this will not be a technical affair. Junior Taffa, effectively, he's a brawler. Think Mark Hunt, think Tai Tuivasa, right? He's that kind of ilk. If he wasn't fighting, he would be standing on a door somewhere on a Saturday night, just looking to get into scraps. This is that guy. Wonderful moustache as well. Great moustache game. And he's a fun stuff. He's a technical kind of brawler, is what I would call him, because obviously you don't get into the UFC without being somewhat technical. And he's not just like a kind of swing for the fences, although he does swing for the fences. Valter Walker, Johnny Walker's brother. He's nowhere near as good. Let's be completely honest here. He just isn't, is he? Otherwise, he'd have been in the UFC long ago. He was unbeaten on the regional circuit. He then lost his debut. Looked pretty underwhelming in his debut. Just look, I'm not saying I would do any better, and I respect the hell out of anybody that gets in there to do what they do because I love watching it. However, wasn't a good performance, was it? Didn't look in any way good. I think it's a fun fight. This won't be technical. I would say Junior Taffa to get the knockout, and that one's a pretty good bet. And I think the odds are quite short. And then we'll stick with the heavyweights. Tai Tuivasa against Jairzinho Biggie Boy Rozenstruik. Tai Tuivasa, he's fun. Absolutely love him. He drinks beer out of boots. Like, what else do you want? He's a slugger, very similar in fight style to Junior Taffa, I just said, so I won't repeat all those attributes. But I would say the one difference is Tai Tuivasa, his hand speed is really deceptive. His foot speed isn't the best, although he does have pretty good footwork, but he doesn't move on his feet particularly quickly, but his hands move very fast, and he can shut your lights out. You better believe that. Biggie Boy, big Senegalese, I believe he is. Shout out BT Sport for always calling him African or South African. Or once they even said that he was Dutch. I know Jairzinho Rozenstruik. You know, But no, he's from Senegal, I believe. I mean, again, I'm flaming the BBC website for being wrong. I haven't even double checked my info on that. That's how confident I am, or that's how stupid I am. Either way, it's a rich tapestry. I'll get back to Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Look, when he goes forward, he is scary. He is one of the scariest guys out there, honestly. And when he goes forward, he's very effective. When he's on the back foot, he is not effective at all. We've seen him have success lately, but because he's been the aggressor, he's been much more aggressive, because I think that they've kind of seen that. It's like, look, going forward, mate, you are brilliant. Make sure you go forward. That being said, I think Tai Tuivasa is too aggressive for him. I think Tai Tuivasa will put him on the back foot, and because of that, we will see the Rozenstruik that gets kind of overwhelmed and kind of folds. I do see Tai Tuivasa getting the knockout in that one. Mateus Gamrot against Dan Hooker at lightweight. This one has fight of the night written all over it. Style-wise, it's a mega fun fight, right? Mateus Gamrot has some of the best chain wrestling in the game. His grappling is so good. The way that he kind of he will reach from a very long way out and just grab. He'll get like a heel, and you'll lift your leg up, but then he'll grab that knee, and it's just the way he chains his attacks together to get you to the ground really is elite level stuff. If you want to see a very good example of him doing that, go back and watch his fight against Arman Sarukian. That was a really, really good fight. Very close. I'm not saying he was the right guy to win, but incidentally he did. Very close fight. Very, very high level of skill shown in that fight. Dan Hooker, very, very skillful. He's skillful in every area. He just seems to get involved in some of these brawls that he comes out on the wrong side of. But he's so violent, and he loves fighting. And that's what I love about Dan Hooker. He genuinely lives and breathes for it. And when he gets going, he can put a real hurting on you. I do think the grappling is going to be the difference maker in this one, and for that reason, I'm going Gamrot by submission. Then Dricus versus Izzy. Dricus, the S is silent. Now I backed Dricus when he was the challenger to beat Israel Adesanya, but now this fight has come about in a very strange way, because it should have been. What should have happened is that Adesanya should have beaten Sean Strickland, didn't, and then Dricus should have been the challenger to take on Izzy, and I backed Dricus to win in that encounter because Dricus he's hungry, he wants to get the belt, he hasn't got as much to lose. Whereas Israel Adesanya has much more to lose. And weirdly, it's come about that this fight has transpired where Dricus du Plessis is the champion and Israel Adesanya is the challenger, and that changes the dynamic of that mentally. A lot of this game is mental, and that does change. Because Dricus is no longer the hunter, he's the hunted. And Israel Adesanya, he's looking to get redemption. It seems, it just feels like the script is flipped somewhat. And I do think that will have an effect on the fight. I'm still going to back Dricus to win, incidentally, spoiler alert. Because Israel Adesanya, all the press conferences, he has been so emotional, too emotional. I don't know why. He seems to really hate Dricus du Plessis, but I don't want to get embroiled into all that, because it's just tiresome, honestly. Look, they're arguing over who's the first African champion. I mean, Israel Adesanya throws shade at Dricus, saying, "Oh, you live in a gated community. You gate yourself off from your own people." It's like, oh well, Izzy, didn't your family put several thousand miles of ocean between you and your people? I don't know. Isn't that swings and roundabouts? He lives in a place where home invasions are a problem. So yeah, you live in a gated community. That's a thing. I think Dricus was baiting Israel Adesanya and Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman took the bait brilliantly as well when he said, "I want to be the first real African champion." He was baiting them, right? What he was saying wasn't wrong. He's the only one that was born, lives, trains, and resides there. That he's the first to take the belt back to Africa, in effect. That is true. But he was baiting them. That is also true. Both of those things can be true. Either way, it makes for good press conferences and it's a lot of fun. Really, really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the press conferences. Israel Adesanya, I think he looks a bit too emotional. He just seems like he detests Dricus, and that could either be a plus or it could be a problem. Fight style wise, for me, I think that the way that Dricus wins this, if he does win this, is because of his awkward style and his physicality. He has a physicality that people find very difficult to deal with. Robert Whittaker found that physicality very difficult to deal with. Even Sean Strickland, he was able to get to Sean Strickland because he pushes the action. And Dricus is very aggressive, and actually his cardio, he looks tired all the time, but his cardio does hold. It does. He's also very strong, unbelievably strong. When he gets people to the ground, he just mauls them. And I think that's going to be the difference here. Israel Adesanya, he's a brilliant technical kickboxer, but sometimes those technical guys, in order to make the correct reads, need their opponents to behave in a certain way. And I don't think that Dricus necessarily behaves in that way. And I don't think it's going to be easy to find sparring partners to replicate Dricus' style. I think Dricus has a very unique style, and that's why he's done so well. That's why I enjoy watching him fight, because he's very awkward but very unique. And I think that is what poses the biggest problem for Israel Adesanya, is that Dricus is not going to behave in the way that he expects him to behave. And then in the grappling exchanges, I do think Dricus is going to have a big strength advantage, big power advantage in there. The way I see this going, for me, I'm backing Dricus by round 2 TKO. You're getting 14-1 on that, which is tremendous value because it will never happen. That exact thing won't happen, but that's what I'm rolling the dice on. It's an interesting fight. Who do I want to win? Look, thing is like, I don't know. I find that Israel Adesanya contradicts himself constantly when he's talking. You know, 1 minute he had servants growing up, the next minute him and his dad are cleaning banks because his mum's trying to be. I don't know. Right, I don't know what's true, and I don't care, honestly. But it's just that he kind of does this virtue signaling thing, so talking about how like Dricus doesn't know like what it's like. It's tiresome. Whereas Dricus just, you know, I find him much more palatable, if I'm totally honest, just less abrasive. And so I will be wanting Dricus to win. But Israel Adesanya was a great champion, really great champion. From a fight perspective, Adesanya is fantastic, absolutely brilliant. And I'm sure he's a lovely guy. He comes across as just a bit weird sometimes in the press conferences, is what I would say. So, whole card picks. Going to take Nicole to beat Aguilar by decision. Glenn to beat Kenan by knockout. Nolan to beat Reyes by knockout. Jenkins to beat Gilbert Burns' brother by decision, because that's one of the easiest fights he'll ever take, because Herbert Burns folds. Folds like cheap laundry. Santos to beat O'Neal by submission. That's my pick of the night value-wise, because you get 6-1 on that. And Santos has like 4 submissions on her, like 9 wins, and O'Neal was submitted in her last fight. I could see that happening. Kulabau to beat Ramos by decision. Taffa to beat Walker by knockout. Plates to beat Li Jiangliang by knockout. Oh, they've given Li Jiangliang a horrible fight to come back to. I like Li Jiangliang. We haven't seen him in a while. He wears those suits. He's pretty funny. He's good on the press conferences. But, man, they've given him an absolute killer. 14 knockouts, I believe, Pratis. And that's why I'm backing the knockout in that one. Tuivasa versus Rosenstreet. I'm taking Tuivasa by knockout. Gamrot to submit Hooker. Kai Kara France to beat Usyk by decision. He's the underdog in that one. I was surprised. Dricus to beat Adesanya by knockout. All of those together, what's that? Like 433-1. Oh, that's terrible. That's a terrible bet, because it's not even good odds. That is awful. But if you put all those methods together, you can put down 5 pence and get £100,000 returned. That's pretty nice. I'm also doing a 4-way on Santos, Plates, Tuivasa, Gamrot, all the methods that I just stipulated there. That one comes in at 234-1. Those are not bad odds. And like I said, my pick of the night value-wise is Luana Santos to get the submission at 6-1. And that is UFC 305 in a nutshell. I'm really looking forward to it. It's got a big fight feel. I hope you enjoy the fights as well. As always, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Let me know in the comments who you're going to be betting on. I'll try and wrap these bets up, see how we did, see how the event unfolded next week. Until then, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.